Hey, we're back. We're back. So we can sort of chill out a little bit and talk a little bit more relaxed here. We don't have to be so legal like in the other one. But I thought we'd have a chat about Phoebe Bishop because I haven't had a chance to do a lot on it as of yet with the week. Hey, don't play that video. We'll do that in a minute. Yeah, so it's daylight here. It's still the late late show. It's still the late late show. Hold on, someone's messaging me. I think that's my friend. Hold on. All right. Yeah, good to see you all. Hope you're having a good. Well, it's nighttime here. It's Friday evening in Australia. I know in America it must be Friday morning. Friday morning for the Americans. So I thought, yeah, I've I've got nothing to do till I go to the hospital tomorrow. So I thought I'd hang out with you here and talk some true crime for the Friday night instead of sitting here with my thoughts for the next, 10, 20 hours. Here, let's watch this little video from Channel 7 and then we'll get into it. Yeah, let's play this.
Flatmate of missing 17-year-old Phoebe Bishop has been taken into custody and is seeking bail on unrelated gun offences following an examination, of the grey Hyundai, the centre of the investigation. It comes as Queensland Police believe crucial items of evidence may have been moved from the main search area before detectives had arrived. At this stage, police have not named any suspects or made any arrests in relation to Phoebe's disappearance. For more, we are joined by Dr. Tim Watson-Munro, criminal psychologist, live in Melbourne. Good morning to you. You would have to think the longer this takes, the more concerning it gets.
Absolutely. The golden window is generally 48 to 72 hours. After that, the trail runs cold. This poor girl's now been missing for 12 days, as I understand it. So it's of deep concern that she hasn't been found yet.
So police are concerned that some pieces of evidence may have been moved from that original search area. Is that the case? How difficult can it make the investigation?
Well, it can muddy the waters a bit. I understand that they're now focusing their search in a nearby scrubland forest. They may be acting on inside information or tip-offs, or that may be the natural place to look. But the fact that they're doing that suggests that they may be looking at foul play now.
So when they say they've found items of interest,
I hate to be a Debbie Downer in this particular case, but if someone disappears for this long when they were due in a different place, it's very hard not to jump to foul play because why would she not go see this boyfriend that she was so desperate to get to? So desperate. You hear those text messages where she's telling her auntie and other people, I can't wait to get out of this shithole and this house sucks ass and I can't wait to get to WA and my plan is that if I get to WA and things go well with this boy that I ain't ever going back. Like that's pretty much the messages she was sending to people saying this was a life change for her. She was heading to WA hoping to live there and start a relationship, like an in-person relationship with this young man. And that was her plan to get out of this friggin' area and end up in WA. So I don't think it's a far leap to talk foul play now. I think a couple of weeks ago we still had some sort of more bigger, wider hope, but when someone just disappears off the face of the planet, when they're on their way to an airport that they never ended up getting to, it's not, you know. And I think we all know what's going on. Like, it's one of those weird investigations where I think everyone knows what happened. Like, I think we all understand what probably happened here, but no one's been charged as of yet. But I think we all have a good idea, unfortunately, what happened to Phoebe.
what does that usually mean?
Well, it's evidence. So it could be evidence related to the disappeared person, personal items, for example. It may be other evidence that may belong to suspected offenders and so on. They're not going to disclose what that is at the moment, I assume, but I would see that too as being a fairly significant development in this case.
Just on the items of evidence that may have been moved, how do they know?
It's a good question. Look, the police don't often telegraph their inside information on cases like this. They don't want to muddy the waters even further. But the fact that they believe it may be moved, may have been moved, suggests that they know more than they're revealing to the public at the moment.
Okay. Guns were allegedly found inside the car that Phoebe travelled in 12 days ago. Will this play into their investigation?
Well, I would imagine so. I mean, nobody's been charged yet, but the fact that firearms have been found, illegal firearms, in a motor vehicle that she travelled in, join the dots. I think it's quite significant.
Okay, and of course there is no suggestion that Phoebe's flatmate has been involved in Phoebe's disappearance.
There may be no suggestion that they're involved in Phoebe's disappearance, but I'll tell you one thing that investigators do, and it's a basic of homicide or missing person investigation. It's literally like step one. Step one of homicide or missing person investigation, you start with the innermost circle. And who's the innermost circle? These two roommates. So they can say all they want, like, oh, we're not going to say that they're involved or whatever. Sure, you can say that, and that's a legality thing that they have to do so they don't get their asses sued. But it is a fact that homicide and missing person investigations always start with that inner circle. And inner circle doesn't mean they have to be friends, doesn't mean they have to like each other. It just means the people who are closest to the victim or the person or the missing person. And those people are those roommates. You can hide from it. You can put disclaimers on your websites, Channel 7, Daily Mail, ABC, Guardian, whoever. You can't run away from the fact that this is just a basic police, what they do. It's how they conduct the investigations. It's as old as time. So, I think there's some, I won't say directly that they're involved, but I'll say there's enough concerning developments in this to, you can see why people are looking in that direction. You hear the stories like this friend that was traveling with Tamika in the vehicle, Tanika, and she whips out a sawn-off shotgun and points it at this person who's supposed to be her friend. And this woman says, "Oh, I just stopped hanging out with her after that." Yeah, I would too if someone pointed a gun in my face and I wasn't expecting it. Like, it's ridiculous. Oh, I know what they're doing. I know what they're doing. It's another common tactic of investigators. It's called catch and release. They'll often pull people in for an interview and then they release them again and watch what they do. It's been done in a billion cases. They did it in Isla Belle. So when Isla Belle was murdered in Melbourne, I do know quite a bit about that case. That's why I bring it up all the time. But they actually pulled one of the guys in for an interview, asked him a bunch of really softball questions, and then just went, "Oh yeah, we're done with you now." But they weren't done with him. What they did was they got their undercover detectives to follow him, and he went and dumped a bag that belonged to Isla in a rubbish bin. And then he booked a ticket to Bulgaria. I mean, so I wouldn't be surprised if that's what's happening here. They've been brought in a couple of times. They've been charged on some weapon charges, but I wouldn't be surprised if police or what they call the dogs. So there's a department within the cops that do tracking, and they're called the dogs. And they're the last people you want to see hanging around you. They basically mean that you are a person of interest and they are heavily looking into you because they don't waste resources like sending out their tracking team on just anyone. So I wouldn't be surprised if the dogs are definitely following these two. 100%. They will have undercover investigators tracking their every movement. Yeah, 100%. I wouldn't be surprised if I don't want to give away too many like sort of investigative techniques, but I'll tell you that they'll often put things like trackers on vehicles. They'll often break into vehicles and pick the lock and put recording devices in the vehicle so they can hear what's being said inside the vehicle. They'll do that with homes too. They'll break in, pick a lock, get in, put listening devices in the home, and then get out and lock the door. So it looks like no one's been in there, but they've put in listening devices in different rooms. Seen it in a billion different cases in Australia with different states, Queensland, Victoria, New South Wales, AFP. They all use these techniques. I can tell you something interesting though. There was a very famous, I think he's been caught now, but there was a very famous like top 10 type, criminal, murder. And when he was on the run, he used to sprinkle flour in the inside of his door. So he used to get flour and like when he went out the door, he'd sprinkle flour and then step over it and close the door because he knew that if someone broke into his house to put listening devices in there, they'd have to step through the flour, or if they did step in it, they'd wipe it away, and then he'd know that someone had been in the home. And one of the things they said about him was he had very good counter tracking or that type of thing. He was very, very adept at this type of not being tracked by police. And he had all these counter intelligence moves that he used, string on doors, wire on windowsills. There's a bunch of different things that are done to try and know if someone's been tampering with your home. But that was one of the things that he that he used to do. So yeah, there's two sides of it. When a woman of steel says not legal here without a warrant, they do it here. Oh no, they get a warrant. They get a warrant. So in Australia, you can get a warrant for a wiretap or a listening device. Doesn't mean you have to give it to the person that you're targeting. It just means you have to have it. So you just have to go to a judge and get it signed off. Doesn't mean you have to alert anyone that you actually have this warrant. You can tell them after you arrest someone and say, hey, we had a warrant for that. They don't have to notify you that they have it. So there you go. Oh, that's nice. Thank you to, is it Janina? Hey Janina, good to see you. I just saw your comment on the other, what is it called? The community post. Hey, thank you for the nice comment. I appreciate it. Profile says it's actually legal. Yeah, it's covert surveillance that's it. It's like counter covert or whatever. So they said that that particular murderer had like really high level of counter covert tracking and things like that. And they said that was pretty a rare technique that they didn't see a lot of. They said not many criminals knew enough to be able to deploy these type of techniques to stop being tracked. I can't remember who he was. He was a guy who killed people, and he was in Victoria, and then he went to Queensland. Hold on, I'll find it. Is it? Oh, it was It was Graham Jean Potter, I think. Let me just check the. Yeah, it was this guy. Graham Jean Potter. This is the guy that used to put like flour and stuff inside of his door to make sure that police weren't breaking into his home to put covert devices inside of his home. He was a pretty big criminal. I think he's been arrested though. Yeah, he was. Here we go. So that's what he looked like before he went missing. This is what he looked like when he finally fronted court on those charges. That's what he looked like. He was on the run for a long time. Graham Jean Potter. So he was hiding in far north Queensland for 12 years. And he was one of the country's most wanted fugitives who had been on the run for 12 years, believed to have spent most of that time keeping a low profile in FNQ, which is far north Queensland. And they say he was arrested on Monday in a small mountain township of Ravenshaw, about a 2-hour drive west of Cairns. Yeah, so that's what he looked like back when he went missing over about a decade ago for that murder charge. I'm just trying to see if they I want to see if they have the thing here about his counter covert operations. Yeah, so he failed to appear back in 2010 on conspiracy to murder charges, and that he had been accused of being a contracted to kill a man at the wedding of a son of Melbourne underworld figure Mick Gatto. So he was also wanted for federal drug trafficking charges. So he had a lot of things to you know answer for. I just want to see if we can find the thing about him putting the flower on the door and that. Hold on. I can't find it, but it was around at one point. No. Gary Jubilant has retired. When he was kicked off the William Terrell task force, he basically left New South Wales Police. He's now a podcaster. He does like podcasting for true crime. So that's what Gary does now. I'd love to have Gary on the show sometime, but I doubt he would come on. Profile says they can seize your grandma's assets if they feel it's proceeds of crime. They can do a lot of things. Yeah, he's definitely a criminal now. Anyway, let's get back to Isla's story, and we'll get back to the rest of that video. Oh, there's only like not much left, but yeah. So they're trying to find this girl, and here's the roommate. This is James Wood, and the other person that was living in that house along with Phoebe is a woman named Tanika Bromley, and she is the one that sort of whipped out a yeah, whipped out a sawn-off shotgun at a acquaintance and scared the hell out of them. So I'm just trying to see if we have anything else on Phoebe. You know, with this trial, I've been so out of touch. There's probably like a million American cases that I haven't kept on top of, and that's very annoying. Yeah, I'll take you to Channel 9.
Bishop has broken cover for the first time since the teenager vanished almost 2 weeks ago. It comes as police call off the search for the missing 17-year-old at a national park outside Bundaberg.
Hiding behind a hood and in no mood to face the heat.
What happened to Phoebe, Tanika?
Tanika Bromley hightails it out of the Gin police station. The housemate of missing teenager Phoebe Bishop reporting for bail over weapons offences unrelated to the teen's disappearance. Bromley and her partner James Wood, who she's now forbidden from contacting, were the last to see Phoebe alive.
Why were there dead dogs found on your property, Tanika?
9 News can reveal tonight that James Wood has also been charged after police allegedly found a shortened firearm and ammunition in their car during the search for Phoebe. That search today was called off in the Goodnight National Park. Police take remains here at the home that Phoebe Bishop shared with her housemates Bromley and Wood. Authorities say they are still pursuing several leads in their investigation and that the Gin area remains their focus. Tomorrow marking 2 weeks since she vanished.
Yeah, it's really sad that in that Goodnight Scrub park that they called off that search of that area. They found a few items of interest, but that's it. Nothing else. They didn't find Phoebe, unfortunately. So we're now a couple of weeks or almost 3 weeks deep into the search for Phoebe, and we don't know really much more than what we did when she went missing. It's been a bit of a very slow search. I really thought it was yeah, what does the Courier Mail have to say? Courier Mail says the flatmate of missing Queensland girl Phoebe Bishop has shown her face in public for the second time in 2 days since the 17-year-old vanished in what police allege is suspicious circumstances. And it says here Tanika Bromley visited Gin police station on Thursday morning as part of her bail conditions, which says she must report to police 3 times a week. Okay. And they say here, she walked to the front of the police station, which was unattended, instead having to call Police Link as per the station's conditions. This was different to the day before when she was let in through the back. It is the first time she's been seen in public without a hoodie. She had her hair in plaits and was wearing a cardigan. That's not her, that's Phoebe, by the way. This is her here, I think. This is the flatmate that likes to pull guns on people. So that is her there. Reporting for bail on those weapon offenses. And they say apparently it said on the door, if you are here to report for bail and the office is unattended, you must contact Police Link to advise them. Do not leave a note on the door. If you do not follow this direction, you will be charged with breach of bail. There she is, calling Police Link, trying to do her bail requirements. So I don't know, guys. I think so apparently the Courier Mail asked her when she was there reporting for bail, "Where's Phoebe? When did you last see Phoebe? Did you take her to the airport?" And it says Miss Bromley did not respond, instead putting her hands up in the air, walking to the car. On Wednesday, she arrived at the station in a ute and was driven into the back of the police station, avoiding waiting media. Why are you giving her any special consideration? I don't understand that. Like, who are you protecting? Just let her apply for bail and go through the front. Why would you take her out the back? Like, I don't get that. Don't protect her. For what reason? What? Like, so what? The guy who's out on murder charges who has to walk through the front door, yet this person on a simple weapons charge, you're like, no, wait, let's protect them and take him through the back. It makes no sense. It's crazy. It's for a weapons charge. So when they searched that house and car, they found weapons, and they charged her with weapons offense. Here, Tanika, weapons charge. Yeah, 3 days. So she was released on bail on weapons charges. The weapons were allegedly found in 2 crime scenes in an unrelated case. An unrelated case? Okay. Yeah, what does it say? She was arrested in Bundaberg on Sunday, that was a little while ago, and charged with offenses including possessing restricted items and unlawful possession of a short firearm. Police allege they found a shortened firearm, ammunition, and 2 replica handguns known as gel blasters in a grey Hyundai iX35, as well as more ammunition in the Gin home. Both were declared crime scenes last week. Sorry. And as part of the investigation into Phoebe. They said there is no suggestion the woman was involved in the 17-year-old's disappearance. I'm not saying she's involved, but I'll say that if you say you drop someone at the airport and magically they disappear off the face of the earth, like, unless you have a very good answer for what happened, 2 plus 2 equal 4. Like, you have to come up with some freaking magic. You have to come up with some sort of freaking magic here to be able to explain away that one. You have to be David Copperfield and be like, oh, look, an elephant is over here. Oh, now it's gone from the auditorium. Like, you're going to have some real level magic, Harry Potter, Hogwarts type stuff to make that just disappear. You can't be like, oh, yeah, we dropped her at the airport. We went there. Not going to cut it. Not going to cut it. I don't think he deleted it. It's right here. I can see it. Karen says, unless she has info, so they give her some special treatment, then give the info. Become a police informant then, if you so desire. But, if she's just out on bail, she can just do the normal thing. Woman of Steel says, we have a retired detective who works with a woman podcaster in Australia and they map crimes. Profiling Evil. Yeah, I know Profiling Evil, but who's the woman? Who's the woman that works on it? I know I've worked with Profiling Evil with Trish a bunch of times, but I don't know who the woman is. I don't know who the Australian female that's on his show is. I'm not sure. After I alter my number plate with tape, I know G is now an F. Black tape makes it an F. No, it's pretty funny. It's a Witness William Terrell podcast. The William Terrell, what is it called? The coroner's report will come out very shortly. And I really think it's just going to end up with an open verdict. Like, what else are you going to do? If you've been following William Terrell, there's been a coronial inquest into the disappearance of William. I don't know what they've dug up. Anything? Nothing? Any new information? Like, it's been this disjointed podcast, coronial inquest. It sort of opened up. I'm still a bit congested. It sort of opened up and then it closed, and they opened up another 4 weeks and then it closed, and then there was supposed to be a bunch of stuff that happened in December last year, but the coroner just cancelled it out of the blue and was like, nah, we're not going to do that. And now we're all waiting for her report into this giant inquest that's been running for years. And I really think it's just going to be an open verdict. Like, what else could you say? You didn't identify any persons of interest. You didn't dig up any new information. You don't know where William is. And you don't have anything to add. So we're all back at square one. We're all back at the start, back in, like, what was it, 2014 or whatever, 2011. That kid is still missing. There's no one to hold accountable, and no one has any new information except for pointing the finger at the stepmom, which no one has any evidence of it. So it's an absolute shit show. It really is. The whole William Terrell investigation is just absolute crap. The whole thing is just terrible. There's been, 3 separate investigation teams that have run the William Terrell case now. None of them have been able to figure it out. None of them. They dug up all that land. They had like a $1 million search of near the grandmother's place. Couldn't find crap. They haven't found anything. It's been crazy. So I don't know if they're sniffing in the wrong direction. I don't know if they're they just can't get the right evidence to hold people accountable. I don't know what it is either, but that little boy is still missing, and no one is really bringing us any closer to what happened. Nothing came from the inquest. Did they release a report this week? I know it was supposed to come out. I've been stuck in a trial. So hold on, William. Coroner report. Did she release it yet? I'm just having a look. Wait, let me do the last week. No. Not yet. It looks like not yet. They're still waiting on it, so. Tight lips and no evidence. Maybe we should do something. I've done a few shows on William Terrell in the past. I've done a few. They had an update on Lily and Jack on Web Sleuths. Any new information? Yeah, we could check that out. Hold on, Lily. 2 days ago. 1 day ago. Oh, that's interesting. They're saying police have released new information on the missing kids. They say... All right. What are they saying? All right, hold on. Let's see if we can find that update. Sorry, I don't know what's going on with my throat. Here, let me take you out to Global News. This was their update 24 hours ago.
As the missing persons investigation into the disappearance of Lily and Jack Sullivan continues, we are appealing to the public for additional video footage. Investigators have collected hours of video from areas surrounding Lansdowne Station. Based on details gathered so far, we have confirmed that Lily and Jack were observed in public with family members on the afternoon of May 1st. Investigators are now asking anyone who has dash cam footage or video along Garlick Road between noon on April 28th and noon on May 2nd to contact Northeast Nova RCMP Major Crime Unit. Investigators remain committed to exploring all possibilities surrounding the children's disappearance. To date, more than 355 tips have been received, and we are following up on the information provided. RCMP officers have also formally interviewed over 50 people, with more interviews planned in the coming days. Investigative work is ongoing following the large-scale ground and air search that began immediately after the children were reported missing on May 2nd. Hundreds of searchers, multiple dogs, a variety of drones, an underwater recovery team, and several aircraft scoured a heavily wooded 5.5 square kilometer area before search efforts were scaled back on May 7th. Additional searches took place on May 8th, May 9th, May 17th, and May 18th. Any future searches will be determined based on the course of the investigation. RCMP officers from various teams are fully engaged in finding out what happened to Jack and Lily. We're using all tools and resources to determine the circumstances of their disappearance. Anyone with information on the whereabouts of Jack and Lily, or who has video footage to share with police, is asked to call the Northeast Nova Major Crimes Unit. To remain anonymous, you can also contact Nova Scotia Crime Stoppers.
There you go. There's the update from the RCMP. Basically just detailing what they've done up until this point, all the different searches in the area. I still think there's more to that story that RCMP are not telling. You know, to release a very basic... To release such a basic statement like that only outlines what their operational capabilities were during that time, strikes me as odd for an investigation where they haven't found the children. It's almost like they're investigating something, but they don't want to tell the public. It's well, not tell the public. They don't want to tip anyone off. So they're just releasing like these very basic statements about like, yeah, what are they saying here? On Wednesday, corporate Sandy Matharu from the Northeast Nova RCMP Major Crime Unit stated in an RCMP press release on Wednesday, "We've confirmed that Lily and Jack were observed in public with family members on the afternoon of May 1st. What did I tell you a couple of weeks ago? You have to go back to where the last third-party sighting was for these children. So now you have it. This is the last third-party sighting. And who is it with? May 1st with the parents. Draw your own conclusions from that. And then they're magically called in sick to school. I mean, a lot of Karen says, very sad as there's never been justice for William. Yeah, it's very awful. Quiet Observer says, no peeing, only to certain people. The investigative journalist that does the Witness podcast has a brief statement regarding the outcome. I think he said they sent him. It'll be open verdict. There's no other verdict they can reach. I've listened to a lot of the coronial inquest for William. There's no other verdict you can reach here. There's no person of interest. The coroner rejected the police's allegations against the stepmom as basically conjecture. She was saying, like, this is not proof. This is not truth. There's no evidence behind this. It's just one police officer's opinion. And she pushed back and said, like, no, we're not going to hear that. And we're going to strike it from the record. So it's going to be some sort of open finding. And they're going to say a person unknown has taken William and is assumed that William is now dead or something. It's, I guarantee it. There's no other. There's just no other road to go down. And the inquest, it just felt like a giant waste of time. It did. It felt like a giant waste of time. Like there were like the rules that were put in place, and then the people they didn't interview, and then they didn't want to interview the New South Wales police. They didn't get an opportunity to give evidence. Very odd way of doing it. I'm not criticizing that coroner. I just don't understand the motivations behind it. I don't know if she's trying to separate the police investigation from facts that are on the ground or something. Yeah. Anyway, I thought you'd want to hear from the police officers who, have done all the background work into it. Even Gary Jubilant, you could bring him in and ask him what Gary and then there was 3 squads that have done it. I don't know what to tell you except for whatever happened to William. I feel like it's not going to come out through a coronial inquest. It's probably going to come out through some random fluky thing. They're going to find the kid's body, or someone's going to slip up and say something in front of a microphone that's been put in their home. Even though they did do that to the step parents, they put a hidden microphone in their home for like a year, and they didn't really catch anything. They caught alleged abuse happening to, there's another child that they adopted, a female, and they allege that the female was treated terribly, like really bad. Like they blamed her for a lot of things that happened. They swore at her. They called her like a little bitch and stuff. Some of the details surrounding her alleged treatment inside of that home is as a kid who grew up in foster care, it breaks my heart to see what that little girl went through, because I've seen that type of behavior from foster parents before, where you're the problem because you're not family, and even though they say they adopted you or you're fostering or whatever, they still treat you differently than a blood child. Like I could it just like neon lights. I could see it, especially the language used against her, how the father called her like a selfish bitch and stuff. And, oh, you always make it about you. She's a fucking child going through a traumatic experience. I don't care what you say. If you foster a kid, you're accepting a lot of baggage from that child. You just are. Because any kid that ends up in foster care is going to have a lot of emotional issues, adjustment issues, behavioral issues, because you've broken up their childhood into something that's not like what you would consider atypical. And, to push it back on the child, to me, it shows me what type of people the foster parents are. It shows me that they're obviously not very nice people. To do that to a foster kid, I don't think that is. I don't know what happened to William, but I'm just saying, those recordings and some of that information that's come out is disturbing, is the word I would use. I get kids can be naughty. Kids can be naughty, right? We all know that. And sometimes you can lose your temper at children, like a lot as parents do. It happens. But that conversation that the stepfather had with that child, like, why do you keep putting adult ideals and sort of conventions onto a child? Child doesn't understand the things you're talking about. So he's like, "Oh, we provide a roof over your head and clothing." Children don't understand that concept. They don't understand the concept of money and investment and looking after a child. They just don't get it. And to berate a child over it shows actually your immaturity psychologically rather than the child's. It shows me that you have problems adjusting your thinking and understanding that you're the adult in the situation where you have the power dynamic and the child doesn't. So you come across as this scary asshole who's berating a child over complex adult ideals. I mean, it says a lot to me about who they are. Didn't say they did anything to William, but it tells me that, um, yeah, it just tells me a lot about who they are as people. And as someone who's grown up in foster care and group homes and stuff, I spot it a mile off. Spot it absolutely a mile off with the language that was used. Kids who go into foster care need a lot of help. They need a lot of patience. They need a lot of understanding, and eventually they might come around and start behaving what you would consider normal. But for a long time, they're always going to be slightly different to other children and stuff like that, because they don't understand why that's happened to them. They don't understand why they don't have a normal family. And, that's very hard to deal with as a child. It's very hard to understand why you don't have your real mom and dad. Like, why am I here with these people? And that's something they can't really process until they're a little older. So I find that very sad. Yeah, as the parents to say that's awful. You chose to have kids, you chose to adopt or foster, no one asked to be born. Right. Yeah. What was he saying? Something like, we clothe and feed you and you always make it about you or something. It was something like that. And he was basically saying how, he was insinuating that the child sort of held them hostage in an emotional kind of way, like held them, it was really stupid. Like, I understand getting angry at little kids, like it does happen, but the way he was talking, it was almost like this conversation had happened before and they had done this several times. It wasn't like a snap of the moment, had a bad day, kid pushed the buttons and he was like, we've done so much for you and stuff. Like, don't tell children that either. Don't tell children we've done so much for you. They don't get that idea either. Children are like, they're pretty smart, but they don't understand complex adult ideas like that. Yeah, it's just Karen says, such wise and kind words, Ping. It's sad to listen to, but it seems, but you have done a lot of work, it seems, on yourself. It's taken many, many years, and I wasn't always like this. And you still get some glimpses every now and then, like when I snapped at that person that day. I used to be like that, like 24/7. You can ask any people that know me in real life for a long period of time. They'll tell you I used to be a really hyper angry, hyper aggro, very loud, um, very argumentative. And it was, it's funny. I'll tell you a story actually. Mrs. Ping's sister, we were having dinner the other week, and we were joking around. I was like, "Oh my god, I still," because she's almost 30 now, and when I met her, she was only little, like she was only like in primary school or something. And I was telling her like, I always think of you as a little girl, and she's like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Well, when I look at you, I only see a little girl, because that's when I met you, was when you were little." And I said, "I think of you as just a little child all the time." And I said, "It's so weird to think of you as a grown woman. Like, she's married, she's got a husband, but I said, I still think of you as like an 11-year-old girl, because I guess like a little sister type thing." And she's like, "Oh, that's so weird." And then what she said? She said something like, uh, "I'm glad you grew up eventually," or something. And she's like, "Because the person you used to be was so loud and boisterous and like, angry all the time." She's like, "You've chilled out a lot in your older years." And I was like, "Yeah, a little bit." But yeah, so you guys would find that quite funny. Profile says, "I lose it myself when the baby next door cries, their dog's yap. I can't even help it." Yeah, like I get yelling at kid, like it happens, right? Like we all know that parents have bad days and they shouldn't, and kids come first. But in the real world, like it does happen every now and then. Parents have stresses or things like that. But yeah, I just find it weird, like when you try and push adult ideas onto children, because kids don't have that mental capacity to break down or compartmentalize those type of ideas. Um, yeah, it's a weird thing, and I've seen it in a couple of cases, right? So you see it in William Terrell, but not him. You see it in the other child, the female, and then I saw it in that missing kid from Washington, the little boy from last year. When Jesse Vang was, you know, making him respect me or whatever. Same thing. Pushing adult, thoughts and ideals onto children. He was doing the same thing, and that the little boy ended up being killed. So, you know. Good night, Robbie. Good night, my friend. Have a good night. Marlene says you wanted people to reject you at the start because you felt like it would happen sooner or later. Probably. Probably. That is probably very true. Yeah, so yeah, if you want to compare the two, I would look at just the language used between Jesse Vang and Elijah Vu, and check out some of the quotes that Jesse Vang said to Elijah, and then overlay that with the quotes the stepfather said to the other foster, like what they call foster child too. Overlay that with the William Terrell and the second foster child, and see the similarities in how these adults try and do this to children. So you can do your own research on that and have a look. Kibby says, "Hello, everyone in Ping." Hello. Good to see you. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, no worries. Thank you to my AA's Anonymous group on a Friday night. I appreciate it. You know, you can come to the meeting, but you have to step up to the altar, and you have to share with the group. So, Woman of Steel said he was too. They don't understand what you're saying, right? So Elijah didn't understand at all. Like he's like, "Oh, I want him to respect me and stuff, and turn him to be a man or whatever." He's two. He understands what mum is. He understands maybe what like drink and food is. He don't understand your complex ideas like from an adult. It's bizarre. I don't get why adults do this to children. It shows me that they have such a emotional immaturity themselves that they are unable to provide any insight into their own behavior, and that's what I think anyway. Provo says I'm ADHD, as you know. I'm noise sensitive, just like a smoke detector battery that needs chirping. I have sound sensitivity too. I'm ADHD as well. So you'll often notice sometimes we'll have shows like this where we jump from topic to topic. But I actually really enjoy doing them sometimes because they sort of scratch that itch in my brain to sort of be ADHD. Um, it's nice not to be so constricted to a format all the time, is I think what I'm trying to say. But I have sound sensitivity too, but mine's slightly different. It's more like if there's someone talking and there's a TV and they're at slightly different levels of volume, it absolutely drives my brain crazy and I can't handle it. It's almost like there's something canceling out my brain waves and like I can't think straight. And it happens quite frequently. I have to say, turn down the TV or, talk lower or something because it's almost like it confuses my brain, and I can't process anything because those two sounds working on the two different levels just screw with my brain all the time. So it's something that pops up every now and then for me. I appreciate it. Quiet observer said the foster dad was the one that left the house that morning. Ping. Very interesting. Now I've heard he has the same control problem as Jesse Vang. I would really go look at the there's a what is it? Was it the arrest document, the affidavit for Jesse Vang? There's a big document that was released when they found Elijah Vu's body. They released this giant. Oh, it's a charging document. It might be an affidavit. Um, if you can find that, that's where all the quotes are. Even look up the ones from the mother too. Same, not as bad, but just look at the language used and then look at the age of the child or any child. And then yeah, overlay that with the William Terrell. And then tell me what you think. Tell me what you think. Leave a comment when you've done that. I think you'll find it interesting. Hold on. Marlene says, I have ADHD also, and also been masking for years. Yeah, so I've had it since I was young. I was diagnosed when I was 5 or 6 or something like that. So I was very early on. Very, I remember when they used to diagnose these back in the day. They used to do like a brain cap thing. They'd put a brain cap on and they'd put this gel in it and then they'd connect the electrodes. And what they would do is they'd make you watch a screen. It looked like a checkerboard, and like a little thing would move across it and move around the checkerboard. And what they were testing was your eye concentration and your brain pattern. And they were seeing if you could concentrate on the image and follow the little thing around the checkerboard. And what they would do is they would get a baseline and then they would give you medication, ask you to come back an hour later, and then resit the test. And then they would ask you to go away, come back another day. They'd try a different medication, do it again, and then they'd compare the results and they'd find out what medication worked for you. And that was in the 1995. It was 1995. Almost 30 years ago, and that's how they used to diagnose it back in the 90s for ADHD. So I don't know if anyone's ever seen that checkerboard thing where you have to follow the ball around the checkerboard. Let me see, can I find a photo? ADHD checkerboard test. Oh, I don't know if I can find it. Yeah, I don't know if we can find it. It was probably some test that was made up. Yeah. I can't find it. Texas says I wasn't diagnosed till age 40. Crazy. Quiet Observer says I will check it out again, Ping. You should check it out. It would be an EEG. Yeah, they used to put the little like brain cap on and squirt gel into your hair, and then they'd put the little electrodes in. Karen says, I'm 83. The teachers just made me take my whole desk outside, and I just sat there with the birds. My teachers used to do that type of thing to me too. In the 90s, it wasn't as well understood as it is now. And my teachers just thought I was naughty, and they would just berate me, segregate me from groups. It was made school very unfun. Profile said, I shouldn't say this, but it's not professional. He says, just look up ADHD bingo. Yeah, don't diagnose yourself. It's not a good idea. Yeah, there was no meds then. I think I was on Dex. I haven't taken meds in like 30 years, but it was something Dexa, I don't know. DEX something at the end. I don't know what the other part is. Profile says, I take Vise. Is it Vise? 40 milligram. Oh my God, this helps me immensely. But you should always get a proper diagnosis. Yeah. I haven't taken meds for ADHD in 30 years. Profile says I was the biggest nerd. Is that what it is? It was a amphetamine. That makes sense. It's so if you have ADHD, you may know that if you drink like coffee, it puts you to sleep. So I can drink caffeine all day and I'll go to bed. Like I could have 3 cups of coffee before I go to bed at night and I'd still sleep like all night. It actually puts me to sleep. And then if you give me like downers, it makes me up. So if you give me like painkillers or something, it actually makes me really hyperactive. It's a really strange existence in the world when everyone's like, you should drink coffee in the morning. And I'm like, really? I don't want to go to sleep. I just woke up. So yeah, coffee equal a nightcap. Yeah, I don't drink coffee. I actually don't. I've never drank a cup of coffee in my life. I don't like it. I don't like the taste. I don't understand why people want to drink water that's dirty. It breaks my brain. I don't get it. Tastes like trash. It's awful. It tastes like just someone was like, here's some dirt. Put it in some hot water and then add some milk to make it palatable because no one wants to drink it the other way. Like it doesn't really doesn't really make any sense to me. Same with tea. They're like, here's some plants. Put it in some hot water because that's a great idea. Because we don't have anything better. We don't have the technology. Phenergan? Ugh. I've had Phenergan. It messes with my head. I don't like coffee. No, I can't stand coffee. Can't stand it. Don't like coffee. Don't like anything that has coffee flavor in it. Don't like coffee ice cream. Don't like that dessert that has coffee in it, whatever it's called. Okay. Can't stand coffee. Never drank it in my life. Never drank a cup of coffee ever. I mean, I've tried it, but I was like, ooh, who wants this? Here, you have it. I don't want it. All right. Should we talk about more true crime? What do we got going? Let's see. Let's see what we've got. Oh, I want to do this one. Yeah, let's go here.
More about the fatal shooting of the Morrow County deputy who died after being shot while responding to a domestic disturbance call.
Right. So the deputy has been identified as 31-year-old Daniel Scherer. Scherer joined the department in March of 2021. That shooting happened last night in the small community in Morrow County, about 35 miles north of Columbus. According to the sheriff, gunfire started when the deputy arrived at the scene. The suspect was also shot and is now in the hospital with serious injuries. Scherer is a 4-year veteran with the department. The sheriff says that it is unclear what unfolded to the shots being fired. There is body camera footage, but the sheriff has not reviewed it yet.
Today, we are expecting to learn.
So they say an Ohio sheriff's deputy responding to a domestic disturbance call was shot dead on Monday by a belligerent man on his front porch. Daniel Shearer, 31, had been with the Morrow County Sheriff's Office since 2021. The man who shot him is named, he's 53 years old. His name is Brian Michael Wilson. Has been charged with aggravated murder but is recovering from his own gunshot wounds in hospital. According to the affidavit supporting the charge, Wilson reportedly told a neighbor that if I was to die tonight, I'd be okay with it. Shearer's body cam showed Wilson sitting on a porch with a visible firearm, telling the officer not to approach and don't effing come around that corner. I will effing kill you. According to the camera evidence, Scherer attempted to de-escalate, but Wilson told him, I'm not effing playing. You better just effing go if you want to see your family tomorrow. An exchange of gunfire ensued, and both of them were hit. The officer died from his wounds after being taken to hospital. Wilson suffered serious injuries. There is no words to express the pain felt by our office, according to the department. Investigators recovered a Walther PK 38, what is it called? Like a .380 caliber, semi-automatic pistol and an MP revolver bodyguard, 38 caliber from the scene. They said Delaware County Sheriff's Office is investigating this, the shooting, assisted by the Ohio General Office. Crazy. Here, let's go to WLBT. Hopefully it's not the same video we just played. No, it's not.
The Morrow County community is mourning the loss of a deputy this morning.
And this after the deputy was shot by a domestic violence suspect. Alexis Cruz is following this from the alert desk. What can you tell us, Alexis?
Yeah, Amber, Dan, the sheriff's office says the deputy was responding to a domestic violence report on Monday night. The agency confirms after the deputy arrived, a shooting took place. While details are limited, we do know the deputy was shot and taken to the hospital where he later died. The suspect was also shot in the exchange and taken to the hospital with what's being described as serious injuries. The sheriff issued a statement saying in part, quote, there are no words to express the pain being felt by our office. The identity of the deputy or suspect has not been released at this time, and multiple.
Well, now it has been released, and I just told you who it was. So, but that's awful. What's wrong with that guy? Like, to demand a cop to walk away and point a firearm at them. What result were you hoping for? Because you're lucky that cop didn't shoot you in the head. You can't proposition a cop like that in a gunfight. It's bizarre. That poor the wrong person died. Should have been the idiot on the porch with the guns, not the cop. The cop should have lived. I mean, it's very sad. It's very sad. The fact that he was just there trying to do his job. Yeah, let me see if it's 21. Let's see if we can get a better photo of Daniel. Daniel Scherer. Daniel Weston. His middle name was Weston. There's a funeral home thing for him. And it's got the blue line flag. Yeah. There he is. Died 26th of May, 2025. That's his photo right there from his memorial page. So, hey, 1972, how are you? Julie says, I never understand how anyone can cope with living in America. How do you do it? I don't know. Ask the Americans in the chat. I don't know. I don't live there. Ask them. Maybe because they live there and they grow up there, their normal is very different from other countries' normal. So what you see as shocking, they don't see as shocking because it's just part of their daily life. I'm not sure, but that would be my best guess at it anyway. Kibby says I have dyslexia, which is a whole other wormhole. So I had dyslexia too. It's not as bad anymore because I've taught myself pretty good. I was always pretty good at English, but my dyslexia for reading would sometimes trip me up. That's why every now and then when I'm tired, you guys will see me screw up a word and I just can't get it. It's like, what was the other one? Uh, there was some word out of the court case, and my brain was telling me it was this version of the word, but it wasn't. The whole time, it was a completely different version of the. It was a different, version of that word. And every time I'd look at it, my brain was like, "It's this," and it ends with logical on the end, but it wasn't. Uh, so it just only tends to pop up now when I'm really tired, and I can't keep the concentration up. But yeah, when I was a kid, I couldn't read very well when I was other kids were reading books and that, and I wasn't. But I spent a lifetime reading now. So One of Steel says, I don't know, I grew up here. I don't live in a big city. I live in a nice rural town. Maybe it's better in the rural towns. Yeah. Well, there is firearms in Australia too. We do have a lot of guns. There was 2 cops shot in Ohio yesterday too. Really? Let's see. This news station is from Ohio. If they have it. Investigation. Okay, I don't see it on this one. What if we go to this one? 2 injured in rollover crash. Well, that's not 2 cops. Oh, yeah, did you see this guy, by the way? I saw this in the news. This guy? This guy is Jennifer Aniston's stalker. And here, you guys can't see it. Hold on. There. This guy is Jennifer Aniston's stalker. And apparently, he's been found mentally unfit to stand trial because he's just crackers. He's so crackers that he can't stand trial, and now they're looking for ways to fix him before trial. 1972 says, have you heard anything on AH? It's actually illegal for me to read out her name. I don't know if you're aware of this, but it's actually illegal if you're an Australian citizen, it's actually illegal for a media member to mention her name in full. Like if I read out her full name. I haven't heard anything right now, but yeah, it's actually illegal because the Queensland law works in such a way that because her daughter is now in foster care with the Department of Human Services, so like DOCS, by identifying her, you're identifying the child, and identifying a child in state care is a crime. I know it sounds really a bit backwards, but yeah, it's true. It's actually true. Yeah, yeah. It's actually it's a real thing. That's why you don't see her name listed in any of the articles when she was charged. Yeah, it's bonkers. Cuff me. I'll do more on AH when I get more information. I don't have anything new for her. I will when we get something. I don't think I've seen anything. I know she got bail, but that's about it. Kibby said, yeah, there's a lot of versions of dyslexia. The white on the page jumps out, makes it hard to read. It's not always backwards. It's interesting. I agree with you. He should put on a shirt. Yeah. Oh, geez. This congestion is driving me mental, eh? Hold on. I've had this congestion in my chest for like 3 days. It's awful. I think it's just from being in the cold. But unfortunately, the microphone picks it up every time. Sorry about that. I heard she's only got supervised visits though, with a caseworker with the child or something. She can only see it on webcam, and that's it, or something like that. I can't remember what the conditions were, but it was like she can't see her children because they're part of the case. But yeah, she's if proven in a court of law and they can prove these charges, which according to the brief, they have video footage of her modifying her daughter's cannula. So a cannula is where, you have the thing in your arm and it has the little port on it where a nurse can inject medication. They have video of AH injecting unauthorized medication into her daughter to make her look like she's comatose. It takes a very sick individual to do that to their own child. And it's so sneaky, right? So they actually set up a camera in the room where the child was undertaking a test in Queensland in a hospital. And the first time there was some discrepancy and they couldn't quite prove it. So the second time they had cameras and they got her. They got her on camera doing it. But the first time they just noticed all the signs go down and they're like, wait, what happened? Why did this happen? Like they couldn't figure out why the child's signs just went off a cliff. Because they said there's no medical reason that the child should have been displaying those type of symptoms. And then they set up the camera and they caught her that she tried to put a blanket over herself, over her arm and the child, and tried to look like she was nursing it, that she was sticking a syringe in. Texas Roadrunner says, sound keeps dropping out. Oh, it doesn't? Oh no, I paused it a couple of times to cough. That might be what you're hearing. I every time it gets like the coughing thing, I pause the audio so you guys don't have to hear it. That's all. Yeah. Yeah. No? No. Just no. Never. What are we saying no about? Yeah, anyway, yeah, it's a pretty crap case. Hold on. So if you don't know the case, I'm going to take you to it. If I can get the one that has the brief of evidence in it, I'll show it to you. Yeah, here we go.
This video contains content that may be confronting.
A Queensland social media influencer has been arrested and charged with torture, accused of giving her own baby girl unauthorised medications and posting videos of her online for donations. Detectives have described the alleged offending as repulsive. Liz Gwynn filed this report.
Police have charged a social media influencer with torture and other offences, accusing the woman of giving her one-year-old daughter unauthorised medicine before filming and posting videos of the child online to elicit donations and followers. The 34-year-old woman was arrested at a home in Underwood in Brisbane South this morning.
So right now, you are under arrest for the administration of poison.
Police allege the woman went to great lengths to obtain unauthorised medicines before giving it to the little girl between August and October last year. It's further alleged she took photos and videos of the child in immense pain and distress to entice monetary donations. The influencer is alleged to have defrauded donors of $60,000.
Not only are we alleging that the child was tortured over a 3-month period, now again use those words, suffered severe emotional and physical distress and harm.
Police allege she carefully concealed what she was doing until it was reported to police in October last year by medical staff at a hospital in Brisbane where the child was being treated.
There is no excuse for hurting a child, particularly one so young that is totally dependent on adults to care for and love for them.
Police launched an investigation in October and alleged tests for unauthorised medicines returned a positive result on the 7th of
By the way, I'd just like to say I was contacted by people that were very close to this investigation, and I won't tell you from where they're from, but they're very, very close. And I will say the nurses that were at the hospital are very clever, very, very smart nurses, and they were some of the earliest people to pick up on it because they're the ones who care for the child. The doctors do too, but the nurses do a lot of the hands-on hourly type of thing, and they were the ones that actually picked up on the discrepancies first. They were like, "Wait, what's going on here? This doesn't seem right. This is not something we've seen before." And they're the ones who sent it higher up the chain. So very, very smart nurses that work at this particular hospital. Yeah, very, very clever nurses. Oh, you haven't heard of this case? Yeah. Um, they caught her on camera modifying the what they call a port. It's a port in the a cannula, I think, and it has like a little dongle that comes off where you can inject medication. And she tried to like put a blanket over, and then like they caught her with the syringe, putting it into the child's bloodstream. So she tried to say the baby had this really rare condition that made her comatose for like 21 hours a day or something, and it just wasn't true. The child had a different condition, but it was manageable, and it could have been managed with medication, and eventually she'd grow out of it and eventually be a functioning, you know, uh, older child. It was manageable, and I guess manageable doesn't bring in the donations on Instagram and TikTok, and you can't be a sick mama, one of those sick baby mamas, if your child isn't like deathly ill. And she made the child look more sick than it actually was because it would get her more internet points. What an awful person. It's called a portacath. Okay. Yeah, I think like two. I think like two. It was not very old. Like a toddler is the word I would use. Like very young, very very young. Yeah, poor baby, poor kid, and the mom, if proven in a court of law, is sick. Like actually a sick person. There was a suggestion that it could have been Munchausen by proxy, which they have a different name for it now. It's called like something like SD or MSD or something. Like it's some personality disorder now that they call it. But the old name is Munchausen by proxy, and it just basically means you're hurting someone by proxy. So the police actually commented on the Munchausen by proxy claim. They just said that they didn't investigate that area in their investigation. They said that that wasn't something they looked into because they said they're not psychologists or psychiatrists. They said that's not their job. Their job's not to diagnose people with mental conditions. And they said that's something for her defense team to look into, not them. And I thought, oh, that's a very interesting answer from police, basically saying that their job's justifying crimes, not to diagnose people. And I was like, oh, they have a good point there. I never thought of it like that, but they do have a point that they're not they're not mental trained people who can diagnose someone with Munchausen by proxy. So they have a point. They have a point. I don't know if we've had any updates for that. I don't think I've seen an update. Last update I had was like back in January or something. Let me see. Queensland 20. Yeah, I don't know if I have anything. I don't know. It's probably waiting on committal. Wow. On Tuesday, the Crown prosecutor, Jack Scott, alleged that the woman's alleged manufacturing of symptoms in her child with a cocktail of drugs not prescribed for her daughter had caused her to have a cardiac arrest and concerned her doctors to the extent that they undertook what, in hindsight, was unnecessary and high-risk brain surgeries to remove benign tumors. They say police allege the woman's poisoning and torturing of her child occurred over several months last year, while the baby girl was in hospital with a legitimate and treatable health condition. Crazy. Yeah, they said if the case was proven, and they said it does look like a strong case, she would be in prison for at least several years over the charges. Interesting. Yeah. Much of the prosecution's case against the woman, he said, rested upon medical evidence, the testimony of health professionals, and CCTV footage and her own social media posts, which had either been obtained or could not be influenced by the accused. Crazy. Bonkers. If I get an update on that, I'll let you know. If I get an update on it, I'll tell you. Yeah, I don't know why they said that, but that's what they said. They said it wasn't their job to diagnose people with mental health conditions. I don't know. That's what Queensland Police said about the Munchausen by proxy claim. So, all right. Hey, Dragon, how are you? Kibby says, sounds like the mother wants money. She got money, $60,000 from like GoFundMe and stuff like that. So, and it wasn't the first one she had done. She'd done several. There was even a there was even a community fundraiser done for that child where businesses in the local area had actually pulled together resources and fundraised to help the family out. Like, what kind of like absolute piece of crap do you have to be to accept donations from the community like that, where they're digging out of their own pockets to try and help what they think is a baby in need, for expensive, rare, surgeries or whatever, and you willingly accept the check for it? You have to be a special type of evil to do that, not only to your own child, but also to the wider community. You have to be a, morally bankrupt person with no ethical backbone in your body. All right. I'm going to get out of here because I think my neighbors are annoyed because I'm talking very loud on a microphone. Even though it's Friday night and it's not past midnight as of yet. But I should go. I should get some rest. I got a big day tomorrow at the hospital. So I'll see you then. Hey, thank you to everyone who's been so kind to send in a lot of well wishes and stuff like that. I really appreciate it. I just want to see here. Yeah, I just want to thank Nick for that donation earlier. Thank you, Nick. It's good to see you, my friend. I will have a good night. I'll have all the good nights. I'll sleep a lot better tonight knowing that she is okay. Yeah. Knowing that she'll get better soon, that'll allow me to sleep okay. Thank you. Thanks. It's nice to meet some of the new subscribers. Hey, 1972. You're welcome. Yeah, no worries. Laura T said sweet dreams. I will tell her. I will. I'll get some rest and I will. I don't know when she's coming home. I think it's probably a couple of weeks away or something like that. I don't think it's anytime soon. Yeah, I fed them earlier. I fed them before we did the live show. So I got to sort of run everything for now, which while I do, I normally get some help, but I'm sort of having to do everything right now. So that's okay. I can do that. But I'll be back at trial on Monday, and then tomorrow night Depending on what time I get home from the hospital, we will do a late show tomorrow. So there'll be a late show tomorrow. I just don't know what time. So don't be like, Ping, you said you'd be on at midnight. I don't know what time I'm going to be back, but we'll do another late show. It might be this time tomorrow again. I don't know. We'll find out. But hey, I love you all very much. I hope you like the new branding, the new camera. I hope that's improved the viewer experience of the channel. And yeah, I'll give you guys another update tomorrow, okay? About everything. And then yeah, I'll see you then. Peace out, everyone. Good night. Have a great weekend out there. Have a great Friday if you're in America. If you're in Australia, have a great Saturday morning tomorrow. And tune in for more true crime. I'll tell you though, if you haven't hit that subscribe button, and thank you to all the new people. We clicked over another little milestone on the counter thing today. Thank you very much to those new people. I think it was like 9 people. Thank you to those 9 people. That's really kind of you. Make yourself known. Come into the chat one night and just raise your hand and be like, I'm a new person to this channel and I would like a birthday cake because that's what I think I should get. And then Ping will say, hey, good to see you. Nice to meet you. But yeah, weekend shows, we do a little bit of this type of thing, just hanging out, talking about true crime. Monday to Friday, we do the Aaron Patterson trial, and I give you all the details from the trial, everything. Give you all the unedited, unfiltered data from the court. So, hey, I love you all. Have a great night out there, and have a great Friday. Good night, everyone. See you later. Bye.